Hello and welcome to Experts Corner here at Pakistan TV. My name is Naila Shajana. Today we're going to be discussing two very imperative topics. The first one being the recent conversation of the Pakistan-Afghan-Taliban talks, which have seemed to fail to bring about a workable solution. And for that, we are joined by Farrukh K.Pitafi, who is our analyst in-house, and Hassan Khan, who is the Afghan affairs expert. The information minister has said the latest round of talks has permanently failed to bring about a workable solution. Now, that being said, Pakistan would protect its citizens no matter the cost and all possible measures of protection against terrorism. Now, furthermore, as we are well aware, the initial talks that were held in Doha, Qatar, were able to bring about a temporary ceasefire. But the recent conversations that were held in Istanbul, specifically Turkey, have not been able to establish a workable mechanism for the lasting peace and stability between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Now, again, we are here in studios with Farrukh K.Pitafi. Yes, Farrukh, understanding the situation at hand, we know that there was a ceasefire agreement before, and we saw that there were some elements of ceasefire that took place. But now in the conversations that are being held in Istanbul, how are we seeing this, the lack of commitments or the lack of guarantees provided by the Afghan Taliban?
Thank you very much, Naila. I think that the first thing that one has to appreciate is the support given by our other countries, Turkey and Qatar. They have been very kind and they have been very supportive, and that's why these talks were taking place, because they expected that there has to be some kind of breakthrough. There was war at hand and things could actually go haywire. But one thing that I've been actually highlighting since before Afghan Taliban took over, that this Afghan Taliban is not the same that you expected at the time of Mullah Umar. And even at the time of Mullah Umar, it wasn't that easy a situation, because they see any religious group, no matter how violent, as sympathetical to them. So it becomes very difficult. Back in those days, our interior minister actually flew to Kabul and requesting that Lashkar-e-Jhangvi terrorists were hiding there, so they should be turned over. It wasn't done. Now, the question is, right now, Pakistan has been very graceful, very gracious host. Pakistan has been supporting Afghanistan. We still do, right? Remember that Afghan Taliban are not Afghans. They are merely a usurper group who has taken over. Ordinary Afghans don't have any say in how their government is run. So even then, we actually started interacting with them. But one thing is very clear, that this group does not want to mend fences. Why? There is a very simple linkage that you can see. On one side, their foreign minister goes to India, and acting foreign minister, he's still acting after 3 years, 4 years, but he went to India. And there, of course, they actually agreed on something that is going to be far more troubling than any kind of incursion. That is what weaponizing Afghanistan's waters against Pakistan, right?
Absolutely.
On one side, that happens. And then, Parade, tell me, why is Zalmay Khalilzad continuously, who is a known neocon, who is very close to India, why is he still sitting in Kabul? Every time there was some kind of agreement being reached between Pakistan and Afghan Taliban, all of a sudden they would call Kabul, and Kabul would nuke it. So the fact is that Zalmay Khalilzad is not there just out of his good heart. He is there to lobby on behalf of India, and that is exactly what is.
Absolutely, and as we are well aware, we have with us Afghan affairs expert Hassan Khan. Understanding this prevalent situation at hand, just as Mr. Pitafi said, do we feel that the Afghan Taliban have refused to give this sort of guarantee to Pakistan, and now that we're in the phase of commitments, do we feel that they're able to provide us with these commitments regarding safety and security, or no?
Thank you very much. I think it was quite clear from the day first, when the first meeting held in Doha between the defense ministers of Pakistan and Afghanistan. And at that time, I said it quite clearly that for Afghan Taliban, winning away from the TTP it's almost impossible. And there are a number of reasons. And I think it was good that Pakistan gave them a chance, and Pakistan also engaged, especially the mediation or the facilitation of Qatar and Turkey, to give it that credence that Pakistan still believe in dialogue, Pakistan still want to engage with Taliban. However, it was quite clear, and you know that the defense minister's statement, especially Pakistan defense minister's statement, that for a number of time, the interlocutors from Afghan side and the Pakistani side, they reached a certain agreement, but then there was an intervention from Kabul, and often there was an intervention from Kandahar. So I think the Afghan Taliban, they are not a proper governing body. They are a militia, and they are ruling Afghanistan just like a militia. So for them, the TTP is just part and parcel of the ranks and file. So it is now, I think, for Pakistan, the ball is now in the Taliban's court. They refuse to stop the TTP from using the Afghan soil. They refuse to monitor, to give properly man the border and stop those, what we call it, the tashkils who are coming from Afghanistan and attacking the Pakistani security forces are the innocent people. So now it is quite clear that in a way they have refused, and they are no longer entrusted to listen to Pakistan or to respond to the Pakistan's demand, not only to the Pakistan demand. I think the international community, you might know that the quadrilateral groups, especially which include Pakistan, China, Iran, and Russia, they have time and again listed and said that Afghan soil is being used by a number of terror syndicates, in which they say ETIM, which is Chinese specific, Jaish al-Adl, which is the Iran specific, and IMU, and the TTP and the BLA, etc. So it's not only Pakistan which demands from the Afghan Taliban that don't let these terror syndicate use the Afghan soil. But it's quite unfortunate that yes, they refuse, and I don't know why and what's the reason behind for siding a terror network, which may be comprising a few thousand, and giving them preference over Pakistan. And it was Pakistan and the people of Pakistan who supported the Afghan Taliban when they were fighting against the foreigners inside Afghanistan.
Right. Hassan Khan Sahab, let me ask you about something that is now going to happen. Of course, we know about this deadlock. We have seen the way Afghan Taliban have actually, particularly because they are more like a pantomime horse. There are more than one groups which actually keep on working cross purposes to each other. But now what happens? Regarding Afghan Taliban, one aspect was that perhaps if you act jingoistic, perhaps you can win over the Afghan people's support. But that doesn't seem to be happening. In Badakhshan, we are told that there seems to be a kind of rebel among Taliban, Tajik Taliban leaders, and they are opposing the center. Do you think that they are now going to actually further fracture, or they are going to continue to build this momentum and continue to profit from all this hate-mongering and jingoism?
I think, Pitafi, in your initial statement, you yourself mentioned that Afghan Taliban, they are not the representative of the people of Afghanistan. They are an occupying body, and they are a warring factions, and they still behave like a militia. So there is the people of Afghanistan, for them, they are irrelevant. And for Afghan Taliban, the people are irrelevant. They are least concerned about the people well-being, about the governance systems. Their more focus is just to keep the power in their hand. And definitely they are using brute force. They are the way they are treating the women of Afghanistan. Millions of girls and women have been barred from going to schools or even to madrasas, etc. So yes, this movement, it's not only the Tajik, Uzbek, Hazara, Turkmen, etc., who are against this group. Even the majority population of the Pashtuns are also against the Taliban, or the way they are governing the system. So I see if it can snowball. What's happening now in Badakhshan, we can't take it in a an isolated incident. I think it will definitely snowball into the other area, and especially, Badakhshan is a province which is connected with the Pakistan, and also it is the northern parts where the Tajik population is mostly dominated, and then there is a Tajikistan. So I believe that it's the beginning. And the beginning was long awaited. And the NRF, National Resistance Front, no doubt they are also sensitizing the international community, the international capitals. Then there is a large Afghan political bodies currently led by Umar Dawoodze, a former interior minister who also served as ambassador in Pakistan, Afghan ambassador and a special representative of the president. So I think a lot of activities are going on. It doesn't mean that Taliban, when they were ruling for the last 4 years, the rest were they were silent. They were active. Even the women of Afghanistan are active. So I believe that this Badakhshan incident, it will definitely snowball if Taliban doesn't behave. I think if it doesn't give what we call it attention to the people's problem, to the governance issue, and especially coming up to have an inclusive government, which they agreed in Doha agreement, which they signed into 2020.
Very well said. I want to revert back to the initial conversation as well, just a little bit. Pakistan has provided support to the Afghan refugees for 4 decades. We've provided time, assistance, help, support, and out of good brotherliness and good faith. But 4 years of these talks and still no positive outcome. What do you think is going to be happening next in the coming weeks, maybe?
I think the coming weeks are going to be very crucial. Pakistan is very sensitive, and Pakistan has drawn the red lines that any attacks emanating from Afghanistan, orchestrated from Afghanistan, are if we have evidence that the border is crossed and attacks are happen on this side of the border, so definitely Pakistan will respond. And Pakistan response is not only Afghan specific, anywhere from any place. If there is a threat to Pakistan, so Pakistan will respond. So I think now the major onus lies on the Afghan Taliban and the TTP, whether the TTP and the Afghan Taliban, they are pushing Afghanistan again into a warlike situations. And definitely I think in 2001, when the international forces entered Afghanistan, what was the cause? The cause was Al-Qaeda, keeping Al-Qaeda network inside Afghanistan. And the international community was demanding from Afghan Taliban that either send them back to their own countries or hand them over to the people, to the countries where they are wanted. And they refused to do so in the first Taliban tenure. So I think they are repeating the history now, which I see this time they may be sacrificing this opportunity which they have got. And this time, I think there was a sort of fatigue at the international level, and people were expecting them to be, that they will be changed now. But their behavior, the way they are governing, the way they are treating, the way they are keeping the terror syndicate inside Afghanistan. So I think nothing has been changed. They are the same, and they behave in the same way. So what I see, if I think there is now what you call it, the initiative is in the hands of the TTP or the BLA. If there is an attack inside Pakistan, if there is a suicide attack, the defense minister has quite clearly stated it, that if there is an attack, if there is a suicide attack, Pakistan will respond. So Pakistan will definitely respond, whether they emanated or they have been orchestrated or managed from Kandahar, Kabul, Jalalabad, Paktika, or any city of Afghanistan. So I see the situations, if not handled properly, diplomatically, or the Islamabad and Kabul are not further engaged with each other, so the situation is going to be very precarious. Definitely Pakistan will respond, and when Pakistan respond, definitely Taliban will also do something, whether they have the capabilities or not. So to satisfy their own people, they will respond in their own way. So what I see beyond now is the situation is quite what we call it, it's quite fluid. It can go on either side.
Hassan Khan Sahab, you are a long time Afghanistan watcher, and you rightly pointed out the names of organizations that have found shelter in Kabul or in Afghanistan, may it be ETIM or IMU. Both seem to have actually joined hands and formed this TIP, this party, political Turkestan Islamic Party. And then there are umpteen other organizations, including Daesh and Jannatullah, as you pointed out. Now the question is, other countries are at the receiving end also. How is it that those countries have managed to contain the specter of terrorism? What are they doing right now? Is it using money as a leverage? Do Taliban need some kind of money or bribes to actually control the menace? Or this is something else? It is not extortion and it is purely ideological.
Yeah, this is, I think, so it's very crucial. Pakistan has five other neighbors, which is Iran, and you rightly mentioned that Jandullah or Jaish al-Adar, they are Iran specific. Even the ISK is also mostly anti-Shias network, and then they have this TIP or the IMU or the Tehrik-e-Taliban Tajikistan. Pitafi, I think definitely you know that unfortunately, Pakistan's border with Afghanistan's, it remained as a highway. It neither served as a border. It was open for a moment, and it's hardly, I think, in 2016, we were able to impose the visa regime, the proper document for those who are crossing Afghanistan. And that was very much, I think, not fully implemented. Even today, I see that there are areas along Pakistan-Afghanistan border where the movement is happening, whether through bribes or through other means, it's happening. I think for Pakistan, mostly, I say Pakistan's need a very documented Afghan policy and a properly managed border. So far, last 40 years or plus 40 years, you know, these borders remain to be just present virtually, not physically. And the other, I think the world should understand that the threat from Afghanistan, it's not only Pakistan specific. The threat is to the region. The terror syndicate, as you mentioned, they are not only Pakistan specific. There are networks which are Iran specific, Tajikistan specific, Uzbekistan specific, and beyond the neighboring countries. And at this point of time, you know, India is also entering the Afghan soil and the Afghan in support of the Afghan Taliban. So the threat has been multiplied, and it is just giving credence, or what you call it, legitimacy to the Afghan to the Taliban regime. So I think this time the world is realizing, and definitely they need to realize, that the threat emanating from Afghanistan, no doubt, it is more Pakistan specific, but there will be time. I think not far away. I think it's very even today. The threat from Afghanistan, it can threaten the international capitals also. So this is the time. And already, as I mentioned, that China is very much sensitive, Russia is sensitive, Iran is sensitive. These bigger countries around Afghanistan is making a ring, and almost all are nuclear countries. They knew that there is a threat from Afghanistan. So I think this is the time Pakistan shall also contact the international community, the world bodies, to pressure the regime in Kabul to behave. Otherwise, I think for Pakistan, definitely Pakistan has opted to go alone, because the threat to Pakistan is huge compared to Iran and the other countries. Either Pakistan shall, I think, hence onward, a strict border policy, and properly manned, properly managed, properly monitored, no entry without documents, without proper documents. And there is also, I think, you know, Pakistan is a country where millions of Afghans lived for decades. So definitely there was a type of infrastructure available. There was a type of environment available, not only for Afghan, but even for people, for the, what you call it, the extremist element from the Central Asian countries. So definitely Pakistan need to focus on the external aspects of what's going on in Pakistan, especially the terror threat. Pakistan also need to focus on internal arrangement, because we have to purge our society We have to purge our villages and cities from the elements which we believe maybe somehow sympathizers or have relation with the Afghans or with the extremist elements from either from any other country. So I think Pakistan at the moment need to have a concrete policy, counter-terror policy. So the counter-terror policy need not be only focused across the border. I think inside the border, on this side of the border, we also need to do a lot, specifically strengthening the police system, the police structures, the administrative reforms, the judicial reforms, and the intelligence network. So I think Pakistan definitely is currently more focused on the external aspects of the issue. However, this will be my personal, I think, advice to the Pakistanis policy makers that they need to also give attention to the internal factors. I think the factors which are on this side of the border, and that are more crucial. 70% of these problems lies within Pakistan, no doubt. The 30% which is outside the border, that is very crucial also. But I think, especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in the tribal area, in the border regions, we need to give to have proper police posts, proper police stations, CTDs, giving proper arms, modern arms and communication equipment to the police, and specifically, you know.
Absolutely. Very well said. You've raised very exceptional points. But, the question remains. We had the statement by the Information Minister, Mr. Ataullah Tar. He stated that Islamabad's patience has come to its close. And, expectations of the commitments or the guarantees, that is something that I want to focus on, Mr. Pitafi. What are the elements of trust and verification during these talks in Turkey?
Yeah, actually, one thing is very clear, because Pakistan was engaging Afghan Taliban through this Istanbul, Qatar process, and through that, the first thing was that there is going to be a verification mechanism to ensure that those people who were attacking Pakistan are not going to use Afghanistan soil, right? And unfortunately, Afghan Taliban kept on shifting, the goalpost. They kept on talking about things which are not in our control. For example, American use of drones. How can Pakistan control that, right? So it was absurd, and you can actually see that there was a pattern there, right? So verification could have been created because Pakistan is using satellite, Pakistan is seeing everything in real time. India bears testimony to that, right? Our kill chain has been very effective. So we know how to actually produce proof. But unfortunately, because Afghan Taliban see it as a counterpoint, a kind of method to get back at Pakistan. And by the way, it is also linked to what India calls Operation Sindoor 2.0. Because remember that Operation Sindoor 1.0 was not basically a war. It was a propaganda campaign which had to actually show to Indians that Modi ji is so powerful and he can get away with whatever he wants. Unfortunately, that failed. So this time, using Afghan Taliban as their mouthpieces, you can see on social media, you can see the sync between Indian channels and, because India's propaganda on its own, nobody is buying it.
Absolutely.
So, but you see that these Afghan Taliban, at least their social media trolls, have been trained well by Indians.
Absolutely. Coming to you, Hassan, with the Fitna al-Hind in the picture, do we... my apologies, Mr. Pitafi. Understanding the situation with Fitna al-Hindustan in the picture, do we see the successful talks with the Afghan Taliban in the future or no?
Remember one thing, just go back to the internet and Google one article called Behold a Wooden Horse and add my name to it because that was written by me. That was a week before Afghan Taliban's takeover. And I had actually predicted exactly what is happening now. It will happen. and it happened, right? Now the problem is that you have to understand how Afghanistan's politics actually rolls. Pakistan has been the most gracious supporter of Afghanistan. But the problem is any government that comes to Kabul, they always are cash poor and they need money. And how do they get it? Who has more money? Does Pakistan have more money or India does? So they get money from India and all of a sudden they become their spokespersons. So as long as my humble submission is that Afghanistan's intractable problem will not be solved till the time you don't come to any kind of agreement on your eastern border. And unfortunately, with Modi, you don't see that happening. So right now, we will use every technique in the book to contain that threat. But then, of course, you have to realize the pathology which is guiding them, especially Indians and the neocons. And they continue. Zalmi Khalilzad, as we speak, is sitting in Kabul. Why is he sitting in Kabul? He is supposed to be an American citizen. He is supposed to be, he was first ambassador of America in Afghanistan after the takeover, after the fall of Kabul.
Yeah.
So such elements who are more aligned with Israel and India, why are they sitting there, right?
Absolutely. So, regarding the security and intelligence that Pakistan has, we've proven it time and time again with various dossiers, as well as the recent Operation Bunyana Marsoos. It's very evident that Kabul is being played like a puppet by Delhi.
Yeah.
So, please, sorry.
No,
okay, all right.
finish the
I thought you had something to say.
Yeah.
So, understanding this, how is this going to be impacting the region or the geopolitics of this region and having after effects or spillover effects to the international community?
Look, mentally, you have to be always prepared that you have two fronts now, Eastern and Western. And you have to be prepared no matter what. And fortunately, when it comes to our armored forces, intelligence forces, even our media response, it has been quite critical in containing India, and it will be very critical in actually resolving Afghanistan's challenge also. The biggest problem is that Afghan Taliban, because they have been using Islam's name, their biggest weapon is our disunity. When we fight among ourselves, when we actually allow any kind of vacuum to emerge, they manipulate that, right? Unfortunately, now we know that their propaganda is no more of a higgledy-piggledy terrorist organization or insurgent organization. It is of a big power like India behind them, and it is weapons grade. So what you need to do is you have to actually keep a watch and you have to contain it every time they are going to come up with propaganda. And then identify the bad actors like Zalmi Khalilzad and expose them, because they are going to continue to be a problem. By the way, Indian media has also become a joke. If you are watching, they invite Pakistani people, bulky Pakistanis, and they start fat shaming them. So here's a humble submission. Those who are bulky will be able to lose weight, but Indian media has lost its backbone. How is it going to grow back the backbone? That is a problem, right? So with that kind of mentality, I think this pathology, you'll have to keep a watch and you'll have to keep on containing it, but stand with your state, stand with your government, and fully support them, because right now this problem has to be negotiated through a point of strength. It cannot be done through weakness.
Absolutely, very well said. Mr. Khan, we were just discussing, as you are well aware, about the fact that Kabul is being treated as a puppet by New Delhi, and just a little insight from your side. What do you think?
I think this is a fact, and it's quite unfortunate. It's not the first time that India is using Kabul against Pakistan. Karzai, when he came into power, he just get so close to India that he allowed opening the Indian consulate along the Pakistani border. So I think this is an Afghan psyche. Whenever they see, whenever they want to tease Pakistan, whenever they want to, just pressure Pakistan, or whenever they need money, etc. Whenever they need support, so they go to New Delhi, and then New Delhi has no other interest in Afghanistan except using the Afghan soil against Pakistan. New Delhi has no direct link with Afghanistan. New Delhi has no big either business or transit links with the trades with Afghanistan. New Delhi is not having that much export or import from Afghanistan as Pakistan has. New Delhi has never housed and fed so many Afghans as Pakistan has done. New Delhi has never given that much medical facilities to the Afghans as Pakistan have done. So it's quite unfortunate that the Afghan ruling junta, they always sided with the New Delhi whenever they want, I think, to pressure Pakistan, whenever they want to extract something from Islamabad. So this is quite an unfortunate that Afghans rulers, who, whether they are Mujahideen, they are Taliban, or they are the nationalists, or they are the communist socialists, they always used, they have been used by India against Pakistan. And this is India's dream to sandwich Pakistan from east and the west side. So it's a fact. And
Hassan Khan, foreign affairs expert, for speaking at the Experts Corner here at Pakistan TV, for elucidating us. And it is a truly unfortunate situation at hand. Now we're going to be moving on to another unfortunate incident, as we are well aware of the situation that is happening in Gaza with the people of Palestine. As we are well aware that Israel has violated multiple times, on multiple occasions, the ceasefire, where it has killed 91 Palestinians, including 24 children, since Tuesday night alone. And these strikes have just, it's absolutely devastating, as you can see the visuals. 24 children in the Palestinians. It's a clear violation of the ceasefire agreement, and medical officials in Gaza have said that even on Wednesday, 28 more people were killed overnight as the Israeli forces struck their homes, the vehicles, as well as tents sheltering these displaced individuals and people and family, and most importantly, the children. And it's very clear to see that the Palestinian Resistance Group has reaffirmed its commitment to the U.S. brokered truce, which has been into effect since the 10th of October under President Donald Trump's 20-point agenda. Now, Farrukh K.Pitafi, I'd like to turn to you as we would like to continue this discussion of what is happening in Gaza. But I would also welcome to the show Bakir Younas, who is a Palestinian journalist. But switching over to you first and foremost, the situation in Gaza is absolutely devastating. Understanding Trump's 20-point agenda or 20-point deal, it's not being actualized or followed through by the Israeli forces. It's gutting to see the Palestinians still be abused to this point, where they've lost their homes, they've lost their livelihoods, and the entire Gaza population has just in a way collapsed.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, the genocide continues, and we have seen the kind of horrid scenes that have been coming from Gaza for quite some time, for 2 years now, and unfortunately that is so. The fact is that when you talk about those 20 points, what were they against? They were not practically, while they might actually speak against being against Hamas, but actually they were meant to contain Benjamin Netanyahu. Remember, Benjamin Netanyahu is cornered. He is facing multiple corruption charges. He is also very unpopular. And then he has, because he has repeatedly been trying to win back power, so he has assembled together the worst possible far-right coalition that could be there. They are card-carrying racists in that. So first thing they do is they try to dehumanize Palestinians, and unfortunately that continues to this day. So the idea was that this deal is going to contain Benjamin Netanyahu. And the problem is that while the ceasefire was announced and Hamas actually agreed in principle that they are going to turn over the bodies, but the trouble is such that it is very difficult to find bodies, because it was Israeli bombing which killed most of these Israeli hostages in Hamas's custody. So now the fact is they are going to wriggle their way out of it. There's a way, but I'm sure that you have to first welcome the
Absolutely,
guest.
yes. So for more on this, yes, Bakir, we've seen the devastation, the genocide that is prevalent in Gaza. It's just gut-wrenching to see this. And, we've heard Trump's statement saying that Gaza ceasefire not in jeopardy after the Israeli strikes, which have breached the ceasefire. What can you say about this?
Well, you see, we are very much sure, and this was very much expected from the Israeli side, because the Israelis, they have never actually went through any deal completely. They always go and find any reason to just break the deal and continue what is on their agenda. So what is on their agenda now is to kill as much as they can Palestinians, with claiming that this is all because of 7 October, and this is all because of Hamas. And what they want actually to make a new reality in Gaza, to make a new borders, to go for this greater Israel, the so-called greater Israel. And recently, there's a lot of videos being most of you don't watch and don't see that they are actually planning to build the temple, Suleiman temple, according to their religion, in the place of Masjid al-Aqsa. So the main fight we have to understand, it's not about a piece of land. The main fight, the main issue, the main problem is Masjid al-Aqsa. We are, as a Muslim, we defend and we want to save Masjid al-Aqsa from the Jewish. This is a holy place for Muslims. We as a Palestinian are taking this step. We as a Palestinian protecting our land and also protecting the holy place. The international community, the world, even the states have to give guarantees to Gaza people that release the hostages, and we guarantee that no attacks will be given to Gaza on Gaza by the Israelis. This all didn't work because it's not because of us, because actually they are an occupiers, they are criminals. Should understand, we should actually put this in mind that we are not dealing with a proper state. We are dealing with criminals, occupiers who actually have occupied the land of Palestine, occupied the land of Masjid al-Aqsa, and they want to build their own religious or related to their religion things, temple. They want to demolish Masjid al-Aqsa, they want to kill Palestinians, and according to their religion, they are doing what they want. So this is a concept most of us are trying to, step away from it and deal with Israel as a state, give them this privilege that they are a state, sign with them a deal, give them guarantees. This won't work because they are totally people who believe that they are above the law. So no role, no law, nothing they will obey according to their religion. They are the chosen people. They are the one who's above the law. So having said that, there is nothing can work unless and until those people who's occupying Palestine, those occupiers, will be held accountable for their deeds, for their crimes, and will take punishment according to what they did. Otherwise, this all will be rubbish. This all will be thrown away because the Jewish will never accept anything either from the Palestinian or from the international community unless and until this thing only helps them or comes in their favor.
Let me ask you about the humanitarian condition on ground, because we know that before there was ceasefire, we have seen the kind of humanitarian violations, and people did not have access to food, water, running water, and medicine. Then there was this part of the deal that there is going to be access to food, medicine, shelter, water, and for a brief time it was so. Now, can you tell us on ground what is the situation, whether Palestinians are getting access to basic amenities or not?
Absolutely not. The Palestinians are taking the minimum. The Israelis are sending them the minimum. And they are actually calculating how much each person in Gaza have to consume calories, and they are sending them the calories they need to survive only for one day. How they deal with the Palestinians. They send them water or food or medicine just according to the calories, according to their calculation for per day and for one person. There is no such deal. They have actually, they have not fulfilled their side deal that they have not opened the border, they have not opened the supply, they have not given full access to food supply, to medicine supply, to water supply to the Gaza people. And yes, still Gaza is under siege. Yes, still Gaza's borders are closed. Yes, still Gaza being bombarded. Yes, there's still Israelis are killing Palestinians. No part from the deal have been done from the Israeli side.
We've had reports come in saying that the Israeli drones have struck the courtyard of Shifa Hospital, and this is located inside in the areas beyond the yellow line, from which the Israeli forces had previously withdrawn under the ceasefire deal. This bombardment is continuing. When do we see this actually stopping? And if so, how is the UN playing its role? The constant condemnation or the constant acknowledging that this is a genocide or this is a very grave violation or this is a very serious situation. How is the UN playing its part?
We have to understand that the Israelis don't believe in United Nations. They don't believe this international laws or international, what you call it, like big bodies like the United Nations. They don't believe that the United Nations is something they have to obey. They have the power. They have the full support from the US. So why don't they do what they want? Again, we are not dealing with the state. We are dealing with occupiers, with the criminals. They have killed so far more than 70,000 Palestinians. Who's holding them accountable? No one. Did the United Nations do anything for the Palestinians during this war? Nothing. This condemnation that you condemn something and they're still killing, they're still bombarding, they're still using the airstrike, they're still striking by their tanks. So no, nothing from this having any value in this war. We are having a war. The only way to stop this war, the only way is to use a military force against this military force. The Palestinians are civilians. Even if there is some some fighters in Gaza, but it doesn't mean that they are actually a full-fledged army the way the Israeli are. And there's no support. There's no military support to the Palestinians, and there's even no, there's no aid for the Palestinians: food, water, medicine, and there's no even military support to the Palestinians. So how can they defend themselves? Yes, if this opens, if we are having our aid militarily, our food, our water, and if the countries are supporting us the way US supporting Israel, of course the equation will change. But in this equation, no. Of course, they will continue doing what they want to do.
Mr. Bakir, one aspect that you see, especially Benjamin Netanyahu's propaganda game, is that he always aligns Israel with so-called Judeo-Christian world. And then their skill is that in order to dehumanize Palestinians, they actually remove all the nuances. One nuance is that they are Christian Palestinians also, and the Christian world does not even know. One of the American lawmakers, Justin Amash, his relatives were killed because he's a Christian Palestinian. Can you tell us how Israel is treating the Christian population of Palestine as well, so that this nuance can also actually show up in the world?
See, the Jewish don't differentiate. Actually, they have, as you say, Benjamin Netanyahu and this Israeli occupiers have this mentality that they are the chosen ones. So, having said that, they don't care about the Palestinians, whatever religion they have, since they are not Israelis, since they are not doing what they want, so they are an easy target, they are possible target, and they are very much like allowed to do to them what they want. So, Benjamin Netanyahu is not only like he's not himself. It's not the problem. He's not the only problem. The whole occupation is the problem. The whole setup on Palestine is the problem. All this so-called Israeli is a problem. We should not deal. We should not think that we are having Netanyahu and he's the problem. The way he leaves, we are fine. We are safe, and we should accept the occupiers on our land. This is not the concept. The main concept, the main idea that all these occupiers, all these Israelis living on our land, actually have to be removed. And yes, Netanyahu is representing them, but he's not the only one. They are all the same. And yes, they are dealing with the Palestinians as a whole, as an enemy.
Absolutely. Mr. Pitafi, we've, as Pakistanis and the state of Pakistan, it's strongly... Yes, I'm so sorry to interject, but Mr. Pitafi, we've countless, on multiple occasions, multiple platforms, we've condemned Israel's violations of the Gaza and the Gaza peace agreement, and we've recently condemned, in the strongest of terms, the renewed attacks by the Israeli occupying forces in Gaza, and which have resulted in the grave violations and the civilian casualties. Now, we've made it a very clear point to the international community that this is the flagrant violation of the international law as well as the breach of the recently concluded peace agreements. What can can you say to this regarding Pakistan's perspective on this?
Right. Pakistan's perspective is very clear that whatever deal has been reached, it has to be honored. And Pakistan, of course, supports the resolution according to the 20-point plan. Now, the problem right now is that we are stuck in the phase 1. If you actually graduate to the next level, then the incentive and the methods of Netanyahu government to, contravene the agreement actually go away. So what exactly needs to be done? Immediately building consensus that an alternative government for Gaza has to be there. Excuse me. And the ISF also has to be actually inducted to ensure that IDF can be pushed back. So all that will happen once we graduate to the next level. Now, where does the problem lie? On one side, Netanyahu and his government, he's right, occupation is the problem. Netanyahu keeps on asking that give us back the bodies that we killed, the hostages you had, and they were killed through our bombardment. And Hamas has not been able to do it. But there seems to be some kind of interdependence between Netanyahu and Hamas as well, because it seems that remember that when was the election, the last election in Gaza, that was in 2006. Since then, there hasn't been an election, and there seems to be codependence between Netanyahu and Hamas. So if Hamas goes, Netanyahu might think that he might also lose, because the whole idea of othering of Palestinians goes away. So it is very important for the world community to come together and push for the implementation of phase 2. Remember that last time when we were speaking on the matter, West actually came up, and I humbly submitted that Muslim countries have to put pressure and remind the US president. Two things happened after that. OIC actually made a statement, and that statement particularly was about implementing, ensuring what President Trump had actually committed, that West Bank will not be invaded. And then President Trump also spoke, and he said they won't do it. And I guarantee. So I think that whatever we are doing works. We have to work in tandem, and we have to work with the US, with the Western powers, because like it or not, while we keep on talking about it as an ideological issue, it is not. It is a humanitarian issue. One example, after the US great leadership from Western world is France, which actually teamed up with Saudi Arabia and ensured that Palestinian state is supported by or recognized by over 140 countries, right? So with that kind of leadership, we know that a consensus can be built, and one should ensure that Benjamin Netanyahu does not get an escape route. He does not manage to, tunnel his way out of
slip past.
The plan itself for ceasefire, and that can happen. The only person that who has some kind of control on Netanyahu is called President Trump. He can do it.
So, Mr. Pitafi, just one last thing before we wrap up the show for this evening. Pakistan has a very staunch and direct, very to-the-point stance on the issue of Palestine. Understanding this, we've called on the international community multiple times to ensure the immediate cessation of the ceasefire violations by the Israeli occupation forces. Do we feel that our voice is being heard, and is our voice loud enough?
Let us face it. Throughout our history, I think our voice was never as prominent as it is today. And by the way, remember, Pakistan is a part of OIC, and OIC has a leader, and that leader is called Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia and all Arab countries, all Muslim countries are of one mind here, and they keep on reminding Israel that whatever it is trying to do, it should not do. And then, of course, they try to convince Hamas also to not terrorize their own people. So I think that our point of view is clear, and the world is listening. The only problem is Benjamin Netanyahu and his government, of course. But one man, again, who can control him is, we have seen President Trump. So all you have to do is convince him for some kind of positive reinforcement. I'm sure that that will be done.
Absolutely, very well said. Viewers, now we had, Bakir Younas, Palestinian journalist, as well as our analyst in-house, Farrukh K.Pitafi, who we basically spoke about the importance of raising the issue of Gaza on the international platforms and really understanding that the violations or the ceasefire violations that are being carried out by the Israeli occupation forces, again, 91 individuals killed, 24 of them being children, despite the ceasefire. When will this genocide stop? That is the question on everyone's minds, especially here at the Experts Corner on Pakistan TV. Again, I would like to thank our wonderful guests for the evening, especially our in-house analyst, Farrukh K.Pitafi. Again, viewers, thank you so much for tuning in to Experts Corner. My name is Naila Shuja. Have a good one.